Okay, so there's been a lot of interesting studies done on how to analyze faces. I'm just going to say here's one good study, and how they analyze and how do they identify someone in a camera, just with the technology abounding, if there being like cameras, CCTV cameras like everywhere, identifying people to that actual person is a complicated thing. And so scientists have really written a lot about that. And there is a science to that. Now, what I do is artistic. It's not scientific. It's not something that has been, I double checked because there was a false, now I realize it was definitely a false statement where someone was saying forensics, they'll just outline facial features. So he's literally describing what I do. It's not like I patented this, or it's just anyone can figure out how to do this. I just had never seen this done before. And this was the first time I did the individual features, was this. I didn't read it in a book. I didn't take a class in forensics. I mean, I'm a CMA, and I studied art at BYU, Idaho. And I loved to draw faces ever since I was little. So I wanted to see how well the shape of that eyebrow matched on the death mess. And I could see, yeah, that shape, just certain things really were falling into place. So you can just watch this video and see that I, bring things back, take things away. So I'm just showing you, but I also start in the video showing this is the shape on that side, bringing that over. I can just show you how these marionette lines really match her. There's a deep groove right there, and it just boom, boom, boom. A lot of things were just matching. So many times, usually when I do it en masse and I drop it, I can really see these wrinkles. And you can see where these are landing. This is where his cheekbone is about to curve over. That's where there's another curve. There's a wrinkle. And I've done that in some of my older videos. This is not what they do. I double checked. I'm like, is this something did I miss something? I even researched the person that allegedly did this and claimed that, yeah, that's what we do. Looked at all this person's interviews. I won't say who it is. That person doesn't do this. And it's not something that's taught in forensics. So there was somebody stating. Okay, it was Lachlan Mackey stating, this is what forensic scientists do. It's not. And it's not what Michal Streed did. I think they watched my video and saw this, right? And then you'll see here, December 2021, I'm showing you my website. I'm going through it. And then I'm just going through, showing you my whole website. Through this whole thing, I'm just showing you, bam, bam, bam. Here's everything I do. But the reason just going to pull this forward a little bit. There we go. You can see I'm scrolling down my website. So I did a screenshot of this because, yeah, it's just too many things, you guys. It's like if someone sort of comes up the same thing as you, okay, fine, whatever. But if they're like, bam, 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 or like quoting 2 sentences of you even, it's too much. I did this because I'm working with people that are initially, the church's website changes all the time and the URLs will change all the time. So that's why sometimes my link will work and then it won't work, right? And initially it would not pull this up. And so I realized, oh my goodness, you need to be a member of the church to log in order to read this 1930 article there. So That's why I did that. And then on this January 31st, 2020, this is where I am stating and showing you, oh my goodness, look, this, it is so off. This is a sketch of the painting. But then I also show you it's really off on the death mask. The mouth is really not that bad. I mean, it's a little bit smaller, but it's following pretty good with actually with the lines of the death mask. Like that one eye, so it's like mouth matching chin, bottom of the chin, eye, but then the nose way longer. So that's when I said that, and I didn't read that somewhere. I didn't like, you know, it really wasn't until like last year I was really finding all these sources and reading all the books that had been written. I hadn't read them yet. So it was just a lot of questioning from people wondering about this picture. Was this really a photo of Joseph Smith? And then I found, I won't say who, but just someone that I was just shocked really believed this was a photo of Joseph Smith. And like Kim Marshall thinks that is, and she thinks this is too, and that there's just camera distortion. I mean, so when I superimpose, you can see here I've superimposed the painting and the eyes are really close together. I could imagine the paper being curled. You know, there are things that can cause distortion, but still that eye is matching that, the mouth, bottom of the chin, that. And you are seeing it there. They just sort of, there's his chin. It's a good, rounded, protruding chin, but there's a little bit of loose skin underneath. You see that in my picture too. So that's when I did this video, and I recently found this, which is super interesting, so I'm switching gears. That's fascinating to me, so I'm just going to zoom in on my picture. It's just this very similar face shape, so just everywhere I look, we don't know, but they say it's Joseph Smith. They said it's 1882 England. I wonder if it's Frederick Piercy. It's just going here to this media source, but here's some of Frederick Piercy's work. I mean, it doesn't look exactly like that, but when I looked at this, I wondered, this was one sketch. And then you see me make mistakes and I did not go into this, you guys, knowing much of anything, you know. So when I first found this, I thought it was like from life. I thought someone was sketching him in the courtroom, because people did. Benjamin West did a caricature sketching him in the courtroom in 1843 in Springville, Illinois. And then he was acquitted for not even the murder. Someone shot at, you know, the governor in Missouri. I don't want to say the wrong name. My brain fog right now, but then you see me doing a follow-up video back in like probably 2019 going, oh, it's not from life. It's Frederick Piercy. And I start researching Frederick Piercy, and then you see here, this is the route from Liverpool to Salt Lake City, illustrated with still engravings, woodcuts, published in, see 1855. I think it might have been 1853 when he starts going through some of these towns and sketching. And he also does sketches. He's really good. He's sketching there. Willard Richards, From a Daguerreotype by Marcina Cannon, From Life by Frederick Piercy. Oh, that's interesting. This was From Life. So he made it to Salt Lake City, but he didn't stay. He went back to England, and a lot of his artwork of Joseph Smith, like this, ends up in just in random books. Like he just did a ton of artwork and did steel engravings, and people just used that. So this was used, and it was sort of copied here, facing a different direction, but they still based on a drawing. So I think the other was the actual original, because this doesn't look nearly as good as the other one. But when I saw that, I was like, did he see my picture? I just wondered. And you can also see how this looks like they're sketching backwards to make this look darker, and it has that angle. And the tie, though, it's like black, and it's double wrapped in the bow tie and the hair, but it's a popped out collar. That's a popped up collar. You see how it's going outward around his chin, but this is popped down. And of course, the Pioneer Memorial Museum, you see some popped down collars. So I wondered, you know, like, did he see the daguerreotype? And then I see this, and I'm like, I wonder if this is his, and I wonder if he did see it. I mean, it's not 100% the same, but I do see the striped vest. Obviously striped vest. And you just see that trapezius muscle, which I think is an indication this guy's really tall. And again, these backgrounds are so similar. And so Gawain Weaver and I are like comparing what was believed to be Lucian Foster's. And you can't know for sure because they did not, especially in the beginning, did not think to write or sign their name on daguerreotypes. You just had to know or not know. People back then knew, and that was all that mattered. And word of mouth, they did an advertisement. But at this point with the paper, that's when they started stamping, this is my work. And so like the scanned daguerreotype, they have a stamp of who made the metal plate. And then they know that that daguerreotype is plate was made after Joseph Smith died, right? Of course, my picture was made after Joseph Smith died, but it's of an older picture because it doesn't match. It really doesn't match the photography of J.S. Bibbins, which I've talked about many times, but in his photography isn't ovals. That's the other thing, is this is an oval, and got something interesting going on right there. I'm like, is that a tie pin? Is that... But he would wear like a white silk cravat. He would often pop up his collar, but was that other picture, but very straight eyebrows. And one thing I am noticing is like, okay, the shape of the face and the forehead, it seems to me like this side, his hairline's pretty good, but on this side it looks like his hairline goes back farther, but it's on an opposite side, which is kind of like my picture. Or on this one side, and I even analyzed that with some of my pictures, like it was like a couple months after this that I went ahead and used a grid and compared and did put a grid on top of my picture. See if I can find it end screen. Yeah, and then I did this. This was actually just last year in January, where I sketched the outline of the death mask and then put that onto here. That is the only thing when I did my superimposition. Again, it's artistic. This is not what forensic scientists actually do. It's different what they do. So here's a whole article. Our human face is unique, a metric approach. So this is by Tegan Lucas and Machi Henneberg. A metric approach to finding single individuals without duplicates in large samples. And so in this, they're explaining anthropometrics. Like there's a purpose in doing measurements, but then there's that 2011 study too, where they're saying when you're analyzing photos to a photo, if you're doing photoanthropometry and deciding that this is the dimension and trying to figure out all this stuff that they had been doing, like in police work and stuff, but that you could think a photo that they had verified was the same person wasn't the same person. So this isn't that article, but in the forensic sciences, it is inferred that human individuals are unique and thus can be reliably identified. The concept of individual uniqueness is claimed to be unprovable because another individual of same characteristics, I can't talk, may exist if population size were infinite. It is proposed to replace unique with singular, defined as a situation where one individual in a specific population has a particular set of characteristics. The likelihood that in a population there will be no duplicate individual with exactly the same set of characteristics can be calculated from data sets of relevant characteristics. to explore singularly the ANSUR database, which contains anthropometric measurements of 3,982 individuals, was used. 8 facial metric traits were used to search for duplicates. With the addition of each trait, the chance of finding a duplicate were reduced until singularity was achieved. Singularity was consistently achieved at a combination of a maximum of 7 traits. The larger the traits in dimensions, the faster singularity was achieved. By exploring how singularity is achieved in subsamples of 200,000, 500,000, etc., it has been determined that about 1 trait needs to be added when the size of a target population increases by 1,000 individuals. With a combination of 4 facial dimensions, it is possible to achieve a probability of finding a duplicate of the order of 10 to the power of 7, -7. I'm not this smart, you guys. While the combination of 8 traits reduces probability to the order of 10 to 14th. That is less. The probability of someone totally matching is less than 1 in a trillion, is what they concluded. So these are forensic scientists who did this. This was back in 2015, published in Elsevier, and these are the people that worked on this, and you can kind of see they got some figures here, and so you can read it through your institution. You can view PDF, purchase PDF, sign in through Elsevier. So, I mean, there's a purpose of measurements, but again, it's forensic scientists, that is, it isn't what I do here, or, I mean, I'm definitely not trained to do what like these people are trained to do. So again, this was my artistic analysis. So I even say as I do this that this is my artistic analysis. So I go through about just 10 seconds of showing quotes, but again, this is not a forensic study, and I was sketching out traits, but I sketched out his features en masse and put it on the death mask. And you know, I never like to tilt or anything. The only thing I ever changed was, as I showed you in that one video, where I sketched the outline on the death mask of the forehead hairline and put it on my picture, and it matched. I mean, this guy definitely did not lose any hair. And then here I'm talking about the eyebrows and all this stuff, and I'm just going back and forth and showing you mostly my picture, but, and then I'm just going back to this and saying you just don't see these features in this man's face. So this is not, I didn't do a forensic analysis. It's artistic. I'm an artist. So how I do things is not how a forensic scientist does. So this, it was just weird to hear Lachlan just explain they individually trace individual features and put it on. I'd never seen this anywhere. I'd been doing this. I hadn't seen anyone else do it. I didn't read it in a book. It's not written in a book. And I double checked. I'm like, hey, is this something that I didn't know? Because I know it's not. I mean, it wasn't how the people I'm working with analyzed the picture. How they do it and how they do everything is just for them to say. But they don't do this. So for someone to go into great detail explaining what I do, unless, did Michal Streed, hey, apparently you've been watching me a lot. Did you watch my video and copy me? Did you? Not give me credit? Sure sounds like it. Definitely sure sounds like it. But this is the statement Lachlan makes, that this is what forensics do. It isn't. He doesn't even know what they do very well. And the people he worked with were not forensic scientists. So the guy, Michal Streed, is like a sketch artist, and he's written books, and he has his work, and it has its purpose, and I'm sure it's benefited lives and helped solve some cases, but it's not the same thing as like what people like this do, that are really checking variables and really doing the science, because it's super important. Identifying people like in cameras or photos, or these are people that it is important to really know every other article that goes into identifying people in photos and stuff like that. So it's just really weird. Again, I did this for a reason, and I can tell you why, because I know there's a lot of people who are not members of the church that clicked on the link on my website, probably couldn't go to it, so that's why I did that. And this is what I've been doing since 2017. I didn't even know how to superimpose translucent death mask until later. I literally was taking a piece of paper and lining up the death mask and changing the shape, and then I got better because I got the high resolution copy, and I learned how to just superimpose a translucent death mask by August 2017, but I didn't know how to do that in July. I only figured out how to do this en masse, and it was, as you saw me explaining, not that good. And I did this in January 2021, where I mentioned that the nose, and I showed and proved in this video. This is still work. I guess people think that if you're just online and you're a blogger or a YouTuber, that it just doesn't matter what you do. Don't need to give them credit. Don't need to like say their name or say they found this out. Like, I don't agree with Kim Marshall. And again, she's not like a scholar, but if she found something out, I show you her page and I point it out and I say, hey, go to her page. There's this. She found this out, but I think differently, and that's fine. And yeah. But yeah, as you see here, you can go here, and now it's just popping up and I'm not logged in. So at that time, this was not opening without being logged in, and so that's why I screenshot this. So I don't understand. You can just tell me, what do you think the reason is to like copy so much of something someone literally said in a video? It's just kind of like, you don't think people will find out? Don't think people can't put two and two together? But yeah, again, Frederick Piercy, interesting one that intrigues me. In early 1850s, I think she really bonded with Emma. He bonded with David Hiram over art, and they just sat there sketching, and he's probably shown him how to sketch and how to draw. I think he helped really instill that desire for artwork. So I just wonder, could that be his work? But definitely face shape wise, high cheekbones. It's not a round face, right? He didn't have a round face. There's a lot of artistic liberties for sure taken with the artwork here, with that painting. Definitely matches Carter's, it mostly really matches Carter's artwork almost perfectly. So just the hairline is kind of pushed out a little bit. Some things are slightly different, but it's too similar, and so similar to the point that in each time the nose is off in the Carter image, Library of Congress, and the painting, and the nose is too long. So that's what I'd been saying since January 31st, 2020. Anyway, have a good day.